there, it's Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Now, I was going through my cards and had actually ended up sending this card out to someone and then realized that it actually hadn't made it onto my YouTube channel. So this was filmed a few months ago, but I am just now finding it and going to edit it. So this is the Royal Jasmine Technique Tuesday stamp set. This technique would work with any stamp sets going, any flowers or any kind of even elements or animals. I mean, a whole lot of things that you could do this with. But I am starting off by stamping this out in some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and this is onto some Nina Solar white paper because I am going to be doing some colouring with alcohol markers for this one. But as I always say, any colouring medium that you feel comfortable with is going to work well for this, whether that be pencils or paints or watercolouring with inks or alcohol markers or anything. I mean, go for gold. And now I'm going to add a little layer of clear embossing powder. I just really like the look that the clear embossing powder gives over the VersaFine black inks, but again, it's completely optional. And this video is just about that you don't have to have all the fancy tools. A really simple hand-drawn frame is going to go a really long way. So I have actually stamped out 4 of these, but I'm only going to use 2. I always, well, not always, but often have a little sidekick beside me, a couple, either 1 or 2 of my children who love to do some colouring too, so I often do extras just for them. This is the TriBlend Spectrum Noir markers. I did dive in and buy the 24 set, and this is all you need if you are a really kind of beginner alcohol marker colorist like I am. I have also seen reviews on YouTube that kind of more experienced people with alcohol markers and colouring really love these, but what I like most about them is that all 3 colours are in one barrel, so a light, a medium and a dark of each colour, and that means that I don't have to think about it and I don't have to test them out and trial them out. It just makes my life easier, and that works for me. You can definitely buy these individually too, and I have some favourite colours. This is actually probably one of my favourites as well, but you can buy them all separately or you can buy them in that bigger set. There are lots of different kinds as well, but this is just what works for me. So I am doing some very, very basic colouring, and again, there's no real rhyme or reason as to where I'm putting some of the darker bits. I put it kind of where I think the darker shadows may or may not be if it had a light source, but honestly, just do what you feel comfortable with, and it doesn't have to be realistic. You could make these any sort of rainbow flowers. You can do anything. Have fun and make your card what you want it to be, most importantly, and that's what's important about card making, is just enjoying the process and enjoying creating. So I am just, as I said, whipping in some colours and hoping that it all kind of works out. I ended up colouring 2 of these. And that was mainly just because I knew that I would get kind of multiple cuts out of one flower. You'll see what I mean a little bit later on in the video, but perhaps depending on which you choose to go with, you might need to do colour in a couple more than that. Now, I do not often buy the dies for the coordinating dies for these things. I do for one, which I probably could have used for this technique absolutely just fine, but I don't have the coordinating dies for this one at all. So fussy cutting goes a long way, and I recently asked on one of my videos whether I should invest in the Fiskars spring-loaded sort of fussy cutting scissors, but surprisingly I think the overwhelming response was just that the Cutter Bees are the best that people had kind of had experience with. So I think I'm just going to stick with my Cutter Bees. They're reliable and really good, and I don't have any problems using them. I love how sharp and I love the fine point to them. So I think they are here to stay. No need to fix what isn't broken. So here you can see I'm actually cutting apart these flowers and getting several different little uses for each kind of what was once an entire flower. I'm cutting it up into little pieces so that I can get more out of it and I don't have to spend my time colouring. I'm arranging these down the left hand side of my card base. My card base is a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base, and I just left all of this kind of toing and froing in so that you could see my process. and I end up cutting off an extra flower there. And again, these all came just from the 2 stampings of this original design. So I have cut them apart, and then I'm going to pop them on so that they are kind of climbing up the left hand side of my page. I am going to pop them up on some foam tape or foam squares, and you can see I have a little bit of foam tape left in this one, so you know that it was filmed a couple of months ago. I did get asked why I don't just buy some more foam tape. I definitely will. There is no reason at all why I haven't purchased more. I am just really enjoying going through my stash and using up what I have, and running out of a product kind of forces me to do that. So I will stop talking about it now, I promise, but I am going to order some more. I have really used up the very last of my stash of almost everything, so it's time to get some more. I was just enjoying the challenge, I guess. So once I've got that all stuck down, I'm going to take my little scissors and cut off everything so it's nice and flush with the edge. Now this is a gorgeous card as is. It's a gorgeous start to it. But I always say that there are some more details that you can add to cards that aren't always kind of expensive or big, extravagant details. First of all, I'm going to add a sentiment, which is pretty normal for card making, and this one is going to say, "You are the extra in my ordinary," and I do love the sentiment. I am going to stamp this out in some of the same VersaFine Onyx black ink that I stamped my flowers with, and that way I'm using the same black and making sure I don't introduce another tone or shade or colour of it. So I'm stamping it out a couple of times to make sure that it is nice and dark and I get a really good stamping impression. Perhaps my ink pad was a little bit dry as well. I need to do a little bit of re-inking. And then here again, the card is really nice as is, but I want to add a couple of little details, and I'm just using a plain black fine liner pen. Now I'm just starting up the top, and I am doing a wiggly line on purpose. Then all I'm doing is adding 3 little dots at the very corners of my page, making sure my line is wiggly right down to the bottom, and then carrying it on, and then that way I don't have to make sure my lines are straight. If you do want to, then you're welcome to use a ruler, but I often find when I use a ruler I have the potential to do smudging of the ink and things like that, and I knew that the flowers were already popped up on foam, so it was easier not to do a straight line with a ruler for me. And if you do a wiggly line on purpose, I think it looks just as good. To finish this off, I am going to add a few little dots here and there with the same pen. Again, this is just one of those little finer details that adds a little bit more to your card making. So nothing expensive, just a plain black fine liner pen. And I'm going to add all those little dots here, there and everywhere. You'll be able to see a little bit better in the end photos, just those little dots and things. But that is my card for today. I really love this basic layout, and I hope you have enjoyed it too. Let me know in the comments section down below, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, bye!